Welcome to the 5th race weekend of the DTM season 2014. As you might remember, we were here last year as well. However, this year the circuit layout is different. 3.9 kilometers, that means a lot longer, more curves and more long straights. And the man who won here last year is Mike Rockenfeller, Mr. Cool. And now you won here last year, but you also started here in pole position. Do you think history is going to repeat itself? What does it take for you to snatch pole once again?
Well, it takes, of course, a perfect lap. First, you have to come to Q3, which is already a big challenge. Free practice was looking quite promising. So, of course, I hope to repeat it, but you never know. It's DTM, it's very tough, and we try our best. I would be happy if I'm in the top 5 in qualifying, but of course, pole would be awesome.
All right, well, best of luck, Rocky. And now the first Russian in history in the DTM is now going to take us on a lap. Here's Vitaly Petrov.
Hello everyone, I'm Vitaly Petrov. Welcome to Moscow, and now we'll do a quick lap in Moscow Raceway. First of all, you need to do a good exit of the last corner, and then main straight, go up to the top speed, 5th gear. Then first corner, 4th gear, touch the curb, touch the exit curb. Then 3rd gear, stay always inside. Otherwise you will lose the grip if you take 1 meter or left or right. Then very hard braking, 2nd gear corner, always lock in the front right. Then actually you must stay on 2nd gear all the time here, stay always inside and focus on the exit of the second left. Maximum speed, flat out, easy flat corner. Here you have time to drink some water. Then very light braking, 4th gear, very difficult corner, you don't see the apex. Then 2nd gear, try to touch inside the curb. Then same things, try to use entry curb. Light braking, always try to be inside, always lock in the front left. Use exit curb. Now it's important, left and right corner. Here it's maximum attack, and then you need to prepare for the long straight. And we need to do a perfect exit here because you can lose or win time. Also, it will be very interesting during the race. With using DRS, you can pass a lot of cars. So, who buy the tickets on the last corner, you can see a lot of overtaking. So, maximum speed, 6th gear, very hard braking to 2nd gear. Touch, no, this was too much curb. Actually, we use less, and then you do a perfect exit. This was my quick lap in Moscow Raceway. Enjoy the race.
Thank you very much, Vitaly Petrov, then the first Russian in history in the DTM. Takes us on a hot lap of this Moscow Raceway. We're using a longer version of the circuit than we did with the DTM here last year. This is the result of free practice, and Rocky was saying that free practice looked reasonably good for him. There you can see he was P2. The quickest, though, was Nico Muller. The 1, 2, 3, though, all Audis. Alongside me is David Addison, and we can't ever read too much into free practice, but it does give us an indicator.
That's right, Dave Richardson. It rather depends on who is doing what on tyres, who is doing what on a tank of fuel. Now we're about to see some of these questions be answered, and it's Mike Rockenfeller, the reigning champion, who is going to be out first as the cars now work their way out on track. This is the first part of qualifying. It lasts for 13 minutes, and it's the bit of qualifying that's about not being slow. You lose the last 4, so you don't necessarily have to go for the gun time here, but you've got to get through to Q2. And they don't have that much running, of course. They've had these 2 1-hour free practice sessions already today. They're still, to an extent, learning about the circuit. They know a bit of it from last year. They're still, to an extent, getting data back. Some of the drivers new to the championship this year don't know the circuit at all, like Maxime Martin. It's going to be a very interesting qualifying session, this.
Yes, it is going to be very interesting. And what we have noted is during the free practice sessions that we've seen, and we were out on track for some of those practice sessions, is that track limits going to be a bit of an issue here, and in the Formula 3 races and the other races that we've seen here across the DTM weekend, it has been ruled with a rod of iron with regards to track limits, so they're going to have to be on their mettle in terms of making sure they don't put all 4 wheels over.
Out of the 2 free practice sessions, 14 drivers had their laps cancelled in both. Others in 1 or 2 session 1 or session 2, but 14 drivers had a time disallowed from both sessions. So therefore, it is a long list of people who could offend, and I fear that as much as you're going to talk about times, I'm going to tell you that they're going away, because if you do put all four wheels the wrong side of the white line in this session and gain an advantage, you're going to lose the lap time, pure and simple. The corners at which people are offending, turn 13 in the background of that shot and turn 1 here, and it's at those two corners that the race director has a camera.
Right.
So he can look at those, and he's got a team of officials that can concentrate on that if he's looking at an incident somewhere else. They can also change the angle of that camera to get a better view, and it's in HD. So they're leaving nothing to chance in monitoring track limits.
It is being monitored, and monitored hard. Okay, Mike Rockenfeller then, we are watching. He is the first out of the pit lane with a 29.780 through the first sector of this 3.9 kilometre Moscow Raceway here in Russia. Second time for the DTM to be here in Russia, and what a fantastic circuit this is.
Agreed.
Both the circuit and the facilities, and it has to be said, the welcome that has been made to us has been very, very impressive. So let's see what Mike Rockenfeller can do. He's going to set a benchmark time for us upon the completion of this lap, running towards the end of Sector 2 now. And it's not until you walk the circuit that you realise just quite how undulating parts of this are.
And this is a climb. It doesn't look that bad a climb, but it is an uphill section. And go back 3 corners, you're at the bottom of the hill. So collectively, there's quite a lot of real estate to climb before you get to this. Dare one call it a semi-hairpin at the end of the lap. This is turn 13, and already we've got our first driver being warned about track limits at turn 1, and it's Jamie Green. Mike Rockenfeller sets the target time, a 1:29.311. Of course, he's become a dad since Norris Ring, hasn't he? So to his new son, Phil. New dad Mike Rockenfeller sets the target time. The best lap of the day has been done by his Audi teammate Nico Müller, who did a 28.993 in the second free practice session.
Okay, we're on board with Vitaly Petrov, the local hero. Then the support for him tomorrow in the race is going to be utterly enormous. He kicks up a bit of dust then as he runs off the curbs and onto the Grasscrete area there, and we've seen this a lot. You can look up from the shots and you'll sometimes see from elsewhere on the circuit plumes of dust being thrown into the air, and that's where the drivers have gone. Just caught the dust. Martin now goes quickest, a 1:28.920 for Maxime Martin.
Circuit rookie. While you were talking about Vitaly Petrov, he also exceeded the track limits at turn 13. So he's the next one on the warning list. Matthias Ekstrom looking quick, isn't he? Personal best and an absolute best. At this early stage, they will be personal bests as the tyres get warmer and the fuel load comes down a little bit, admittedly. But it's that purple sector that's key when they go quicker than anybody. Augusto Farfus is the next man on my list of people being warned about track limits, and Ekstrom there ain't far off, I think.
I think you're right. One constant that we have seen through the practice sessions so far has been that it hasn't been this circuit to the liking of Mercedes-Benz, certainly through free practice.
And yet this is a manufacturer that comes here with 2 wins out of the 4 races.
I know.
And Audi, that's been there or thereabouts, hasn't had a win. It's bizarre.
Extraordinary, isn't it? And there is Adrian Tombe. We go on board now with Robert Wickens, of course, victorious last time out at the rain-affected Norris Ring. So Robert Wickens then in the Freeman's World Mercedes AMG. Brilliant shots were able to bring you this downhill section now. Bit of a corkscrew. Then takes the curb on the exit there. Heavy braking again before the left-hander. Then it will be just slightly uphill before going right-hand again and downhill into a really uphill rather to the start. Head towards the start-finish straight then. And this turn 13. Now bear in mind, David, they're going to be using DRS up here.
Yeah.
And turn 13 is going to be an opportunity for some.
Absolutely, and it's going to be hard on the brakes come racing. I think we're going to see some contact there because people will have to defend against a quicker car using the DRS. We're getting more and more people warned about track limits now. Ekstrom, Molina, Martin and Jamie Green for the second time being warned about track limits, and that's largely at turn 1. So the evidence is there with the cameras, and Robert Wickens very nearly drops the lot as he comes out of turn 2. The car stepped over the curb. He did well to save that.
Yes, he did.
He's currently 13th fastest. Those that have not yet done a representative time really are Petrov and Paffett, and those that miss the cut are Pascal Wehrlein, Christian Vittoris, Paul di Resta, Gary Paffett and Vitaly Petrov. And Paffett there locking up big time as he tries to squeeze his first flying lap out of the car here.
So that is the Euronics logo of the Gary Paffett car that we watch right now, 29.949 through Sector 1. Compare that, as you can see, with the time on the screen with Mike Rockenfeller, who is fastest with a 128.834. Then it's Maxime Martin, a 128.920. So Gary Paffett then, what can he deliver then from a track that thus far would suggest is not going to favour the Mercedes? That was a big lock-up, wasn't it?
It was. So, shows you how the Mercedes drivers have to attack, because you've had Gary Paffett with this lock-up and Robert Wickens very nearly dropping it with a big sideways moment as well. Mercedes, but he has been released potentially into the path of another car. Marco Wittmann, the championship leader, goes through. There is behind the Pascal Wehrlein Mercedes, which is currently 20th, but he has done a personal best in the first sector, but that is still half a second in Sector 1 alone, down on the best in Sector 1.
As you say, that's half a second in one sector.
Exactly, and it's not good in that respect. So Wehrlein is going to have to be a real hero here to get into Q2, I think, and it's further proof that Mercedes might be making progress, but the manufacturer is not on top of it just yet. And there you go, all four wheels the wrong side of the white line, but he'll get away with that there, because that's not one part of the circuit that's being policed as vigorously as turns 1 and 13.
So 29.9 first sector, 39.5. And, well, we're going to complete the lap and we'll see what Pascal Wehrlein can deliver.
He's about a second down.
P15 and 129.836. Here's the man that's under investigation then for an unsafe release, Danny Juncadella, who's currently P20.
Yeah, Wehrlein, just to make the point, Dave, is in for the moment. He's gone 15th out of the 18, and when I said he's about a second down, he has ended that lap 1 second and 2 thousandths down on the best time of Mike Rockenfeller. So, for the sake of 2 thousandths, I was close.
Yeah, you were.
But he is in. But can he stay there? Because we just had an improvement now from Juncadella, who has gone 13th, and that puts Mortara out. So Daniel Juncadella has now gone into the top 18, therefore into Q2. Mortara, Paffett, Vitoris, Di Resta, Petrov are those that we're going to lose, potentially. And this is Mortara, who is 19th. He's the best of the rest. And on this lap, there's nothing sparkling in the sectors. I think the next one is the one to look for.
Yes. So, Edo Mortara then.
Yep, slower lap, 32.9, so ignore that one. But this is the one to concentrate on. Now, Petrov, down in Sector 1, personal best in Sector 2. I think this, again, is a start-up lap. It'll be the next one, which will be his last, that we need to look for. There's less than a lap time left in the session, so people crossing the timing line now are starting their last run.
Last lap. Okay, so Vitaly Petrov then, the local hero then. Huge support here at the Moscow Raceway. There is Paul Di Resta. Of course, had a torrid time of it at Norris Ring. Coming together between Paul Di Resta and Jamie Green. Ironic, because they're good buddies.
Yes.
That really rather compromised Paul Di Resta's race. He's done a 29.9 in the first sector.
Robert Wickens quicker, just briefly up to 9th, Wittmann 3rd and Glock 4th. They're also improvers, but Wittmann and Juncker are also being warned about track limits.
Now Di Resta is going to be able to put another lap in.
He's just squeezed through.
P16, he can do another lap. There's 30 seconds left on the clock. Here's Eduardo Mortara,
who has done personal best in sectors 1 and 2. So what he's got to do is beat something in the 29.7s to be secure, and he should, I would have thought, do a mid, if not low 29, maybe a high 28, because this looks a good lap. So Mortara, low 29 gets him up into the top 4, a high 28 into the top 3, and he's about to break the beam as he comes over the timing line, and the lap from him is a good one, but it puts him 14th for 29.4.
So Eduardo Mortara. Antonio Felix da Costa then, as the checkered flag goes out to complete the first part of qualifying.
Next man to look for is going to be Farfus. Augusto Farfus we've not seen yet, but he's done an absolute best in Sector 1 and a personal best in Sector 2. Tomczyk, Wehrlein, Paffett, Vitoris, Petrov are out. Here's Vitoris.
So Christian Vitoris then, with a 1:34.93, sees him out. Now, Antonio Felix da Costa, that we were working, was momentarily second. Farfus now goes second fastest. Wittmann goes third fastest. Da Costa, that's pushed him back down to fourth. So it's Mike Rockenfeller, Augusto Farfus, Marco Wittmann, and then Antonio Felix da Costa. Here's Gary Paffett, and the sector times don't look brilliant, David.
No, unless he can do something amazing in the last sector, I'm afraid he's going to be 21st on the grid. He comes down to turn 13, the flag is out, it's his last chance. Sector 1 was average, Sector 2 was disappointing, and the lap time is a 1:29.981, which means he's 600ths shy of his earlier best, but it's not enough. It's not an improvement, it's not enough, and I'm afraid Gary Paffett has gone. But it's not just Mercedes drivers, as a rather disconsolate Wolfgang Schattling of Mercedes looks on, because there's a BMW in that bottom 5. We have lost Martin Tomczyk as well.
Yes. So there is Gary Paffett then. There is Christian Vitoris.
Now I say we've lost Martin Tomczyk and that he, Wehrlein, Paffett, Vitoris and Petrov are out, but the list of people failing to manage track limits is such a long one that if there is now anything to look at post-session that takes a lap time away, that could shuffle the order.
Yes, it could. Yes, it could. Very fair point. Well, Rocky was the quickest, a 1:28.834. Augusto Farfus second fastest, 1:28.882. Then it was Marco Wittmann with a 1:28.9. So as the cars file their way back into the pit lane, we lose 5. The rest go through to the next part of qualifying, and all of a sudden it gets very, very serious. So here we have the results as we know them at the moment for Session 1. Rocky, Farfus, Wittmann, Felix da Costa, Martin, Glock, Muller, Ekstrom, Tombe, Wickens, Hand and Molina, with Spengler, Scheider, Mortara, Green, Juncadella and Di Resta. Those out, Tomczyk, Wehrlein, Paffett, Vitoris and Vitaly Petrov, who will be disappointed with that, of course. In front of his home crowd, would have hoped to be able to pull something out of the bag.
And that lap you just talked about, a 1:28.834 from Mike Rockenfeller, is the best of the day, because free practice 2 was quicker than free practice 1 and Q1 quicker again. So there is the man of the moment, Mike Rockenfeller, who will have a look at the data have a new set of tyres warmed and put on, ready for Q2, the door being affixed. And Mike Rockenfeller is ready to go. Pole man here last year, as well as being the winner, and in confident mood, I would have thought, after Q1. Now, we're not being told about any times being disallowed, so we therefore go with this as the quintet of drivers knocked out. Martin Tomczyk, who had a spin in free practice 2, Pascal Wehrlein, Gary Paffett, who really struggled in that session, Christian Vitoris, and disappointingly, Vitaly Petrov. There is, as you made the point, big support for the man that's 23rd fastest. He has never raced here. He's still learning about the intricacies of a DTM car, and it is, with respect to Mercedes, the least competitive, because we know that Mercedes is struggling. So you add all that together, it's never easy. Christian Vitoris will start 22nd on the grid, the man that won that amazing race in the wet at Ossersleben. Gary Paffett, former champion, starting to be even more disappointed because his results just aren't turning around, and he's going to be 21st on the grid. And Gary hasn't forgotten how to drive over the winter. He's as good as ever he was. 20th is going to be Pascal Wehrlein in the Guix Mercedes, and his best lap was just under a 10th shy of the man that's 19th on the grid here, Martin Tomczyk's BMW. And so it is Martin who is the best of those that didn't get into Q2. That starting 19th gives him a big job to do tomorrow in the race.
What is perhaps surprising is we lose Wehrlein, Paffett, Vitoris, Petrov, and then we look and we see that Robert Wickens has been able to pull P10. So, you know, what is different about his particular setup, his particular car, his particular driving style?
It's a good question, that.
That is, you know, I think Robert Wickens is, you know, a supremely capable driver, and he's clearly just wringing the neck of that car to get the max out of it, more so than the others.
I mean, whether it's because he's coming here on a high after that win at the Norris Ring, that might be something to do with it.
Certainly not going to hurt, is it?
No, indeed. I was just thinking as to whether or not he would have raced on the full circuit in something like Formula Renault 3.5, and whether there's any track knowledge benefit to him, but I'm not convinced that that's the case. So I think you look at setup and getting the best out of it in that session.
Yes.
De Resta is in,
yes,
and Junqueira is in as well for Mercedes, so he's not the sole driver, but
he is
are
demonstrably better,
absolutely,
isn't he?
Yeah. And numerically, Mercedes still hasn't got many people through, whereas there is a very disappointed Vitaly Petrov walking down, or is that trudging down the pit lane? Martin Tomczyk will equally be disappointed because he's the only BMW driver not to get through. It also, of course, illustrates just how competitive the championship is. And when we're talking about thousands and hundredths of a second separating you, it only takes one slight missed apex or one little lock-up, and the whole thing can change.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I was talking to someone in the week who was saying, you know, why can you not go from a Formula One car straight into a DTM? It's not that easy. Pascal Wehrlein, well, he had a torrid time of it. He's with Verena now.
Yeah, I'm here with Pascal. Pascal, I mean, the Moscow Raceway, how tough is it? And P20, how disappointed are you?
Yeah, we knew already before that it would be difficult for us this weekend because the track doesn't really fit to us. But yeah, I don't know. In the morning, it was not too bad for me. I was on P9. I was quite happy with the car, and since P2, free practice 2, I had problems, and yeah, I don't really know why.
Best of luck for tomorrow. Thank you very much. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Verena. That's interesting. I reckon the car wasn't with him for free practice 2, which, you know, he finished free practice 2 P21. So in comparison to FP1, where he did better, you know. Okay, Christian Vitoris, another disappointed man with Verena. Well, for the moment, we can't hear Christian Vitoris. Sound issue down there, but Christian Vitoris clearly going to be very, very disappointed with his qualifying performance. As you know, been victorious this season and has had some success, but not having it here at the moment. So, thank you, Verena, for that. With no sound, unfortunately. Right, we're into the next part of qualifying, and Marco Wittmann in the Icewatch Mercedes BMW. There it is. And Wittmann came through that first session of qualifying well. There's Joey Hand on his way out of the pit lane. Just 10 minutes, David, and it soon jolly well goes.
Indeed, we start with 11, but even by the time the whole field's poured out and then done an out lap, you're down to about 8 minutes, really, of proper lap times. And for my money, this is the best bit of qualifying, because this is where the pressure really is on, because you have to go from 18 down to 8, and that's who we're going to see through into the last element of qualifying. The pressure is on now. It's definitely about being quick from here on in, and this is the part of the qualifying period that can dictate your weekend. If you qualify badly now, then you're really compromised in the race, and so the times become ever more important. The target has just been offered up by Nico Müller, who's done a 1:38.055. Rockenfeller, Scheider, Martin, Farfus, Green, Molina, Wittmann and now Juncker circulating to do quick laps. There's the distinctive BMW of Augusto Farfus that comes across the timing line. Farfus was third here last year. The BMW driver with the road to himself pretty much flings the car through turn 1. I reckon he just stepped slightly the wrong side of the white line there, and we are already getting warnings. The first driver to be warned is Nico Müller.
So we watch Augusto Farfus then in the Castrol Edge liveried BMW from Team RBM here at the Moscow Raceway. It's been an extremely hot day and the sun is still beating down. 29.4 from Augusto Farfus in Sector 1.
And he's got clear track space. This is a key to all of this. He's now set the target within the first sector. That said, Marco Wittmann has gone 8 thousandths faster in the first sector of the lap. So yet again, it's looking pretty good for BMW. But Augusto Farfus here then, he's going to set the target time. He's going to go better than Nico Müller, I'm sure of that. He has got about, 3 corners to go. He's got to climb his way uphill now. This is where you've got to be careful with the throttle. Don't put it down too soon and squirm out wide over the curb. He does run a little bit wide, but not too bad. Martin is ahead of him and he won't get in the way. So, for Augusto Farfus, he's going to come out of this lap with at least 2 personal bests now, but not absolute bests, because you're looking at now Spengler and Rockenfeller as setting absolute bests in sectors 1 and 2. Rockenfeller has gone top on a 1:28.802. Martin now goes quickest. What about Farfus?
Let's see what he can do. Well, he goes third fastest with a 1:28.836. So Maxime Martin, what a lap.
And he was the man ahead on track. You're looking at Wittmann, who's about to come across the timing line. Marco Wittmann could go top, Dave.
And he does with a 1:28.689. Marco Wittmann then leading the championship at the moment, and with 7 minutes left to run in Q2, leads the table in Q2, but we've still got 7 minutes left to run.
So it's BMW 1-2, it's Audi 3-4-5, it's BMW 6, Mercedes 7-8, but all that's going to change as Bruno Spengler is about to go to the top of the times, I suspect, with an absolute and a personal best. He goes across the line. And in the end, it was a really undercooked 7th, I'm afraid to say. So it started off okay, but then maybe there's another lap on this set of tyres that this could well be the one now, this second flying lap that puts him up to the top. More track limit warnings, Robert Wickens yet again.
Okay, we're with Timo Glock now. The Deutsche Post car of Timo Glock does a 29.467 in Sector 1.
And this is his first lap.
It is his first lap. So there is Timo Glock. 6.5 minutes remaining in this second part of qualifying here. The DTM at Moscow Raceway, with the sun still beating down. Temperatures still high. So Timo Glock then about to give us the second sector complete. Target time a 1:08.534. Well, a 1:08.574 thus far for Timo Glock. Means he's 4 100ths down. Long drag, slightly uphill before heavy braking before this first turn, which is very nearly a hairpin. And Timo Glock crosses the line. P7 with a 1:28.870.
It's okay, but it's only 2 tenths down on Wittmann, so that's all right. That gets him in. It puts Spengler down to 8th, and Ekstrom is the man on the bubble. He's now out. Ekstrom indeed. He's dropped to 9th. Da Costa here has yet to do a lap time, but he's about to post his first one in the Red Bull BMW. And as he goes across the timing line, he goes 12th ahead of Tombe, which isn't good enough. So Ekstrom is in the pits. Mortara, Müller, Da Costa, Tombe, Juncker, Hand, Wickens, Di Resta, Scheider. They're the ones that are out at the moment. But I suspect on a second set of tyres, one or two of those are going to creep in. Nico Müller had enjoyed a pretty good start to the day, but he's 11th, and this is a slowish lap because neither of the sectors are improvements. In comes Rockenfeller. I think Müller comes in as well, as he does, and in the background we've got a BMW tonking in. That's Maxime Martin in the Samsung BMW who wants to get on with this. He's third. It's not bad, is it, for someone who's not been here before?
Absolutely brilliant. So Wittmann then, he's 1:28.689. What have we got left in the session? Just 4.5 minutes.
That's the best time of the day, Marco Wittmann. Of course, the cars are lighter now in Q2, but he is continuing to bring down the times, so that's the best of the day. We've had another track limit situation, and now Robert Wickens, rather than just being told that he's failed to manage them, has got the driving standards flag. So a black and white flag now for Robert Wickens. So that's a bit more serious than just having been recognised as going off the road. Do that again, and he'll start to have his lap times taken away. So you can see the tyre change going on, another set of warm tyres put on.
It's not been quick there for Marco Wittmann, to be fair, because every second counts here. Look, you can see the clock counted down at the top of your screen.
But don't forget he's the fastest, and if they can get him out so that those tyres are at their best right at the checkered flag, if he needs to respond, he'll be good.
Yes. Bit of strategy in play there, isn't there?
So Wittmann is currently the fastest from Mike Rockenfeller, from Maxime Martin, from Jamie Green. Miguel Moliner is 5th, Augusto Farfus 6th, Timo Glock 7th, Bruno Spengler is 8th. So it's BMW versus Audi at the moment, setting towards Q3. This is Miguel Moliner, who is 5th fastest. And the Audi working its way down uphill. Comes out of that stadium, through the corkscrew, plunges downhill, speed building. And what have we got? 3 more minutes. He's going to get 2 laps out of this. Behind him on track is Timo Scheider, who is 18th. Scheider having a pretty torrid season, really, by his own high standards. Double champion. So Moliner has done a personal best in Sector 1. Sector 2 he's about to complete as he heads out of this section and goes uphill and goes really wide over the curve there. And that's in free practice this morning, a part of the circuit where the grass and the AstroTurf behind the curve was being chewed up. He's at the end of the second sector pretty much now as he comes onto this long straight that is where we're going to see the bulk of the overtaking done come the race. Another personal best, so 5th at the moment. The lap time that he's done is a 1:28.819. There'll be an improvement here for sure, unless he gets it wrong at the last corner.
Yes, or gets picked up on maybe not observing the track limit somewhere. So Molina crosses the line and goes quickest. 1:28.583. I think you'd tempted us into that potential very well. A 1:28.583 for Molina puts Wittmann now down to P2 with his 1:28.689.
You're looking at Ekstrom, who is 9th and needs to get in, but let me just quickly come back to Molina because that was a really interesting lap. 2 personal bests and a slightly slower third sector. None of those sectors was an absolute best, but it was just a very well put together lap, and it was a consistent lap across all 3 sectors. So you add it together and it was quickest, but no one sector was the absolute best.
Interesting. Matthias Ekstrom comes here off the back of rallycross success.
Yeah. And goes no faster, a 1:32.4, so disappointment for him. Timo Scheider's done a personal best in Sector 1. Maxime Martin's done an absolute best in Sector 2 in the Samsung BMW that's currently 4th fastest. Again, it's that session where reputations are made and broken. We've had Nico Müller go 3rd, and Martin goes quickest on a 1:28.523.
Fantastic stuff. So Maxime Martin then, new to DTM, new to this circuit, and belts out a 1:28.523. Here's Timo Scheider then, currently P18. We've got less than 50 seconds left to run in this part of qualifying. It is Q2 here at the Moscow Raceway. We're watching the auto test liveried car of Timo Scheider. P17, Spengler, P6 now. Wittmann been relegated now to P4. It's Martin, Molina, Farfus, Wittmann now.
And where is the leading Mercedes in all of this? You go down to 13th and find Robert Wickens. Here comes Adrian Tolbay, who is 14th fastest with 2 personal bests. He will just get across the line before out comes the flag, and Tombe is 8th, and that puts Jamie Green out of Q3. The flag is out. Timo Scheider has gone through but not improved. Adrian Tombe did improve, as I say, to go 8th. So Jamie Green has gone. Timo Glock has gone, but he's on a quick lap, having gone faster than he had previously in the first sector.
We're with Jamie Green right now, who needs to improve significantly, doesn't he,
Yeah, he's 3/10 down in sector 2. He's a 10th down in sector 1. It ain't going to happen, I'm
It's
afraid.
not going to happen. So we're going to lose the all-orange Audi of Jamie Green.
That was a 28.814. So he was close to his earlier best. Timo Glock's done a personal best there, 28.855, but not an improvement in terms of getting him into the top 8. Yes, it's a better lap time, but it doesn't help him for the top 8, I'm afraid to say.
So there is Timo Glock, having not done enough, nor Jamie Green.
Jamie Green's lap, 9 thousandths slower than his own best. That's how tight it is.
It is tight, isn't it? It is tight, and we should recognise that Edo Mortara
Mortara
with something in his eye.
Yeah, that's sweat, because it's very hot inside these cars, and it's a hot day, but there's sweat dripping into his eyes. So Mortara, 12, I'm afraid, has gone. So the brains trust on the pit wall is going to have to do something clever in the race to get him up the order.
Yes.
A disappointed Matthias Ekström, 11th. So, Dave, this is how the top 12 looked.
Martin, Molina, Farfus, Wittmann, Rockenfeller, Muller, Spengler, and Tombe. Therefore, those out: Green, Glock, Ekström, Mortara, and also Antonio Felix da Costa, Robert Wickens, Danny Juncadella, Jerry Hand, Timo Scheider, and Paul Di Resta. So, I guess from a manufacturer point of view, session 2 probably as we expected.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yes, we've lost some big names out of that. Green, Glock, Ekström, Mortara specifically, but I think I've said it already this season in the context of qualifying. It's pure maths. You can't have 22 good drivers and they all get into the top 8. Something has to give.
And the margins are so tight.
Indeed. I mean, Jamie Green has lost out against Tombe by less than a tenth of a second. It is something like 13 thousandths that put him out. That's how tight it is. 13 thousandths out he is. Timo Glock is only 3/10 away from the top time in the session, but he gets bumped out of Q3. And Paul Di Resta was the slowest. Now, he was just under 1 second away, but just under 1 second covers 18 cars.
Yes. So, session 2 done and dusted then. And here, confirmation of those that are out: Jamie Green, Timo Glock, Matthias Ekström, Edo Mortara, Antonio Felix da Costa, Robert Wickens, Danny Juncadella, Joey Hand, Timo Scheider, and we saw him on screen just a moment ago, Paul Di Resta.
We've not touched on weight for the purposes of the weekend, because there is, as you look at the car of Paul Di Resta, we run through those that have lost the ability to go into Q3. Now, there is, of course, the weight shuffle in DTM this year, depending on the results that a brand scores at the previous race. And it's really all about losing weight this weekend. The only person that's gotten heavier is Marco Wittmann, who's got an extra 2.5 kilos. But Christian Vitoris, Paul Di Resta, Gary Paffett, Robert Wickens, Timo Glock, Antonio Felix da Costa have all lost 2.5 kilos. And Daniel Juncadella and Vitaly Petrov have lost 5 kilos. So it's all about, as I say, largely losing weight rather than gaining. Only Marco Wittmann's car runs heavier. Now let's hear from Timo Scheider. He is with Verena.
Yes, Timo, you're starting in P17 tomorrow. That is very disappointing, especially because for your team colleague, Rocky, is working out a lot better. So what is the problem, do you think?
Well, that's a good question. We struggled big time this morning in the free practice sessions, and I have to say we changed the complete car for the qualifying, so it was an improvement. It came into my direction, but finally we are missing a huge amount of performance lap time wise, and that's a big question mark. We have to find out.
Thank you very much, Timo. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Verena. So, big question mark.
Indeed so, and the trouble is that there are quite a lot of them for poor old Timo Scheider this year, and a bit like Gary Paffett, he's not forgotten how to drive.
No.
Edo Mortara, 12th in the end, he'll be pretty disappointed with that.
But what I do think, to pick you up on that, is the fact, and you've mentioned this before, how the DTM is changing. And we see some of the young chargers come in now, and the old guard are having a tougher time of it, aren't they? Because the field is very, very full of quality. Edo Mortara's with Verena now.
Yes, Edo, you're starting in P12 tomorrow. That is not that fantastic. However, it's looking good for you in the total. So what are your feelings right now?
Not great, to be honest with you. But this season we've seen already that we can have some good race. And qualifying didn't went very well, but hopefully tomorrow it's going to be better for us. I'm sure, actually.
And all in all, this circuit, how challenging is it?
It is challenging, actually. It's very slippery. The grip is, the car is sliding quite a lot. I think it's coming a little bit from the asphalt, but it makes it fun, and it's the same for everybody, so it's the same challenge for everyone.
Best of luck tomorrow. Thank you, Edo, and back to you.
Isn't it interesting, the difference in positivity between some?
Yeah, I was going to say that, and the fact that he's smiling.
Yeah.
Okay, he's out of Q3, he knows he's got a tough job, but he's smiling, he's a racing driver, he's got a good car underneath him, and he knows he's not beaten yet.
Yeah. So, thanks, Verena. Edo Mortara then, who ended up at P12. There's Matthias Ekstrom. I just briefly mentioned there, he comes off the back of some success in Rallycross, where he had a win and really appears to be enjoying himself doing that.
I think that could be where his future lies, either as a driver and or team owner. If he gets to the point where he turns his back on the DTM, I mean, he's the oldest man on the grid in DTM terms, and he's in his mid-30s, but he may well elect to go in that direction. Robert Wickens, Norris Ring winner, best Mercedes driver in that session. Let's hear from him and Verena.
What did you say? You need a haircut?
I need a haircut, yeah.
I think you look great. Robert, you're the best Mercedes in P14. That is probably not the thing that makes you smile at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, definitely life was easier in Norris Ring, but we knew that we're back to reality now with where we're struggling, and to be honest, we're making steps forward. If you look to where we were qualifying in Budapest and everything like that, we're in Q1 I think I was only 4/10 from P1 in the session, and fortunately in Q2 I didn't put the lap together. I think there was more there, but everyone in the team's doing the best they can. But it's a race against time, but hopefully we'll be competitive again soon.
Best of luck for tomorrow for the race. One thing I love about him, that's because he's Canadian probably, he never loses his humor. Back to you guys.
No, nor
Very
his
true.
big hair, to be fair. Very big hair.
You're just jealous.
Again, yes, perhaps so. Again, positivity there.
Yeah,
Robert's
indeed.
saying, they're making progress. And Wolfgang Schleckler, they've all said it's going to take time to get that Mercedes back on stream to where it needs to be.
What they haven't done is step forward and say, this is the problem. This is what's changed from last year. They're very coy on that. Everybody can see that the cars aren't as competitive as they were, but no one is really standing up and admitting exactly what it is that's made them go backwards, or what tweak hasn't worked. So, we go into the final part of qualifying. We have 11 minutes, and this is where we have 8 drivers to determine the top 8 slots on the grid, and it is Mike Rockenfeller as the man that was on pole here last year, the reigning champion. He carries number 1 on the Schaeffler Audi. He is out first, and he potentially will set the target time. And this to sort out the top 8 on the grid is going to be very interesting indeed. Augusto Farfus is next on track for BMW.
So Augusto Farfus, always a cheerful individual, great guy, very, very talented driver. There you can see the list of qualified drivers: Martin, Molina, Farfus, Wittmann, who you can see in the garage there, Rocky already out on track, Nico Muller, Bruno Spengler, Adrienne Tombe. So we will see what they can do in this 10-minute session, and this going to be set in the first part of the grid for tomorrow's race. Temperatures expected to be similar to today, if not potentially just a little bit warmer still. So be a hard race for them.
It is indeed. Because although Vitaly Petrov, when he did that flying lap earlier, said that this is a part of the circuit where you can drink some water, those straights don't go on for that long.
No.
And it is a pretty demanding circuit. You're always working on lots of changes of direction and elevation as well to factor into, as you say, a very hot as well as hard 70-minute race that we're going to have tomorrow. Best time of the day, that top time in Q2 by Maxime Martin at 28.523 as the circuit goes live once more.
So we follow Maxime Martin then in the Samsung liveried car around this 3.9 kilometre Moscow Raceway. Maxime Martin then, who is showing great promise, and is another one of those into the DTM that I feel is upsetting the old guard, has come here and has got on terms with it straight away. Racing in GTs has been well documented, but the DTM is a difficult thing to get hold of and be quick with straight away.
He's learning, I think, about the extra aero that these cars carry, and he's very much a driver. His engineers, people that work with him, rate him very highly, and they say he drives by grip level rather than car setup or aero. He drives by grip level, and therefore that's why he's always an absolute hero in the wet. Watching him in the wet, in the dark, in the Spa 24 Hours a couple of years ago was just awesome, I tell you. And I think that as he gets more familiar with the car, then he will just get better and better and better. So we're seeing some of that talent being realised now, and in his rookie season, first time here, it's looking pretty promising. Mike Rockenfeller, as predicted, will set the target time. Comes down to turn 13 now. Road to himself. Traffic not really an issue with just the 8 cars out there. And Mike Rockenfeller does a 28.813.
So when 128.813 then is the benchmark that is set. Here's Augusto Farfus now in the team RBM BMW. And the camera tracks Augusto around the final turn. Just 2 wheels over the curbs, and he goes a 129.791, which puts him P2.
Which is a good effort. So he will go quicker than that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What you're sort of seeing is the first effort, a kind of banker lap from everybody, and then they'll have another set of tyres thrown on, and then they'll go for broke right at the very end. So there's an element of keeping their powder dry, but making sure that they know exactly where the car is good and where they can push and how late they can leave it so that people don't have a chance to retaliate. Bruno Spengler, you see, has done 2 good sector times. That's his work done on that run.
Yeah.
He knows that for the sake of one corner, he can abort that, get another set of tyres on and then go for it.
Right. We're on board with Marco Wittmann now.
Just thinking Wittmann might be pitting as well, but he's going to stay out and have a go for a lap, I think.
Seeing that BMW bounce towards the end of that long back straight here. Makes the turn 13, and he goes second fastest, a 129.201. Still 5/10 off Rocky's time, isn't it?
Yeah, but equally 5/10 quicker than Farfus, who is third.
Absolutely.
So that's a kind of proper lap. Whereas Farfus, I think, was just having a decent effort, but that wasn't a pole effort. Rockenfeller's probably was, and that stays as the target, as you say, by half a second.
We've got 6 minutes left to run in the session. From our vantage point high up in one of the grandstands here, I can see Mike Rockenfeller's car has been pushed back into the garage. And, with that amount of time left in the session, presumably they will keep the car ready to go should he need to come out again and put another lap down.
I would have thought so, and it's also a chance for more people to work on the car if anything needs doing. It's not just like a tire stop. There are more people then that can touch it. They can offer him the tablet with the data on if he wants to have a look at his sector times relative to other people's. There's just scope for a bit more to be doing in the garage. He's still in the car, he's all suited and booted and strapped in, so if he needs to go, I think he may well be going any moment. Let's see. He can go. Yep, look, wheels back on the steering wheel. It's not really a wheel anymore, is it? It's more of a control, a steering controller. But I think he will be going back out any moment. And at the front of the car, the blowers are there as well to keep the cool air circulating while it's in the garage like this. So Rockenfeller, for the moment, is the fastest. We have got 5 more minutes to go. And that first part of Q3, it's a bit like a phony war, isn't it? Because people go and they show a bit of what they're capable of, but they don't do the ultimate. That comes now.
It does, and we're yet to see probably the best, aren't we? And we're yet to see also Tombe Spengler and Muller put the time on. Personal best for Molina, Sector 1. No, best of everyone,
Indeed.
Sector 1. Personal best, Sector 2. This is Molina then, who was, up until this point, with that 134.16, 4th fastest. What is this lap going to deliver? Okay, towards the timing line he goes. P2, 128.925.
Okay, just over a 10th shy. That's a proper effort.
Yes.
And Rockenfeller's going out if he needs to respond. He's on his toes now.
So it's now Rocky, Molina, Wittmann, And here comes Mike Rockefeller then, hot foot from the garage. Back out on track, 4 minutes remaining. Here is Bruno Spengler, a 29.3 in Sector 1.
And Spengler hasn't really looked that sparkling across the previous 2 sessions. He's done enough to get in, but he's never been up at the top. But Bruno Spengler now looking a little bit more racy, isn't he, as he works his way up towards the end of the lap. 14 times a winner, 16 times on pole position, Bruno Spengler. If anybody knows how to turn it on, it's this man, the Canadian. Makes his way then now down to turn 13. Let's see what the second sector is. It's a personal best. So he is 0.2 down in that second sector. Has he done enough in Sector 1 to compensate?
Well, we are about to find out. Bruno Spengler then, with the BMW bank car, rounds the final turn and heads for the timing line and goes quickest, a 1:28.638. So to answer your question, yes, he had done enough in Sector 1.
So an absolute and 2 personal bests strung together give him the top time. Still not as quick as we had from Maxime Martin in Q2. That was a 28.5. We're now down to 28.6, but we might get to the 5s, even the 4s, by the very end. Let's see, because we're not done yet. Adrien Tombe, personal and absolute best, comes up to the timing line.
Here comes Adrien Tombe, second fastest, 1:28.810 from the Playboy liveried car of Adrien Tombe. So now, Spengler, Tombe, all of a sudden, Rocky has got to be back out again, hasn't he?
He's on track and he's just started a flying lap. Into the pit lane is coming Molina, who was quick early on and got to second, but he's now down to 4th. And I think that's Molina done. I think he's going to struggle to get out on another set of tyres. And just looking into the distance, the car's being angled to its garage. Spengler's next lap isn't as quick. He's down in Sector 1. He has had his last shot at this, really. So now you need to look at Wittmann, who's done a personal best in Sector 1, or Nico Müller, who hasn't done a lap time yet in Q3, but there he is. These are the two, Wittmann and Müller, that could yet spring a surprise. And I don't think Farfus is done yet either, nor Martin, who is now 7th.
Maybe so. We're following Nico Müller then, 29.4 personal best in Sector 1. Nico Müller then, who led free practice 2. What's he going to be able to do in the final part of qualifying? Just 1 minute and 45 seconds are left on the clock. Another PB in Sector 2. The long drag up towards turn 13 now for Nico Müller. So here he comes then into turn 13. Heavy braking down through the gearbox, kisses the apex, out onto the curbs, and he crosses the line to go P2.
But look in the background, because you've got Marco Wittmann in a hurry, and behind him, going even quicker, is Maxime Martin. Over the timing line has gone Wittmann, and he stays 5th, but Maxime Martin has gone quickest of all on a 1:28.619.
Here comes Rocky, 1:28.714. Still got time to get another one in. 1 minute left. This is Mike Rockefeller. Maxime Martin, what a show from him in quali.
And I think he's done. He's backed it off on this next lap, and that means that Rockenfeller's got to find a way past the slower BMW. I don't think he's going to be compromised by that, but he'll want to make sure he doesn't encounter a slow car at any point of the circuit. Rockenfeller is still pounding on. Spengler is done because he's down in Sector 1. So it is Wittmann who is still on a quick lap, who might upset the apple cart, but he's 0.2 down in Sector 1, Wittmann. Even though it's a personal best, it's still 0.2 down on anybody else.
Don't wish to rain on anyone's parade. Car number 24 failed to manage track limits at turn 1.
Yeah, well. That's Maxime Martin, and whether anything will come of that, we'll keep you posted. So many have been warned, but we've only had one driver actually given a driving standards flag.
Yes,
that
you're
was
right.
Kind of behind my sarcasm, really. Martin, I think, looked good. What about Marco Wittmann? Personal best Sector 1, but 0.2 down on the absolute best, and 0.7 away from the best in Sector 2. It ain't happening for him.
So Marco Wittmann then.
Flag's out, Dave.
It is, so he's not going to get another lap in. And, well, doesn't improve on his P7.
And everybody is making their way down the pit lane, and that gives you Maxime Martin for his first DTM pole position. The guy's never raced here before. He's only had 4 DTM races, and he's on pole position. Now, do you believe me when I say he's a star?
Yes, yes, I think I do. So, just saw Mike Rockefeller then bring his car in. So, Maxime Martin then. What a show in Q3. bangs that car that we see there on pole position.
And he comes from a good racing family. His father, Jean-Michel Martin, multiple winner of Belgian Touring Car Championships and the Spa 24 Hours, I think 5 times a winner of that. And his uncle has won that event as well on 3 occasions. And Maxime's father is still racing, even now, in historic Formula 1 cars. In a Fittipaldi, and he's still quick, but joy at BMW, and Maxime Martin clambers out of the car. Yes, a very happy man. He spent the last few seasons racing BMW Z4s in a variety of GT championships, whether it's been Blancpain or the VLN, you name it, and he has excelled in those. And there's been a lot of support for him in the German media. One journalist in particular who follows GT racing has been singing his praises and saying this guy should be in a DTM car, and BMW took note, gave him a test, liked what they saw, and this at the end of Q3 is the outcome.
Maxime Martin, P1, Bruno Spengler, P2, then Nico Müller, Mike Rockenfeller, Adrian Tombe, Augusto Farfus, Marco Wittmann, and Miguel Molina. So, as always, qualifying proved to be very, very exciting, being congratulated there by Bruno Spengler. And just love this qualifying because it's so dramatic, isn't it?
And it always produces surprises. I mean,
yes,
we know that these guys are good, but if I'd said to you before qualifying, Martin for pole, I don't think either of us would have really believed that and put any money down, but he has done it, and the lap time was just under 200ths quicker than Bruno Spengler. It's a BMW 1-2, and then the best of the Audis, Nico Müller third ahead of Rockenfeller, Tombe, BMW again, Farfus sixth, BMW Wittmann, Audi Molina, Audi Green, BMW Glock, Audi Ekstrom, Audi Mortara, BMW Da Costa, and then you get to 14th and you see a Mercedes.
Yes, and there it is, Robert Wickens, you can see on the second page of that qualifying result there. And, well, Mercedes always admitting, and all the drivers do as well, still work to be done. They're quietly getting on with it and doing the very best that they can.
And a proud Belgian is Maxime Martin, drinking his Belgian energy drink. And for many years he drove for the Mark VDS racing team, which is Mark van der Straten, who is, among his many family businesses, a brewer.
Okay.
And so it was always good to go to their hospitality because there was fine Belgian beer on offer. But a proud Belgian for a Belgian team. He was now a proud Belgian for BMW Motorsport as a works driver in the DTM, and being congratulated by the team. Maxime Martin, in a very short space of time, has put himself right up there with the more experienced drivers within BMW, within the championship.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, well, we think the promise has been there, and it's been shown, hasn't it? So, 128.619. Bruno Spengler, best we've seen for him, 128.638. Some of the supporters here take selfies, and going to be very, very busy here tomorrow, that's for sure. P3 for Nico Müller with Verena.
Nico, congratulations. What a phenomenal qualifying, and you're smiling from one ear to the other. How does it feel?
Really good, really good. Thanks a lot to Audi and the team. They did a really good job. I mean, we've had already a very good base to start with this morning, and kept on improving throughout the free practice sessions, and now to start from the second row in P3 is obviously, yeah, a really good feeling at the moment, and I just hope to make the maximum out of it tomorrow now.
Well, you certainly like the track here. That's a good opportunity.
Well, I've been racing here before, so that's for sure not a disadvantage, and I've already was very much looking forward to come back here. It's a cool track, very technical, and our car is working very well here, so we're probably gonna have a really good chance tomorrow for good points.
Well, best of luck. Thank you so much, Nico. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Verena. Interesting what he was saying there. He knows that track, doesn't he?
Yes.
And that obviously helped.
Indeed. I mean, he's raced here in Formula Renault, in junior single-seater racing, so that does help, but equally, these are different sorts of cars,
sure,
and there's a lot more power in them. Maxime Martin is being embraced by anybody in a BMW jacket, I think, at the moment, and he's a very, very happy man. And Bruno Spengler is there. More broadcasters are lurking in the background. Norbert Haug, who these days, having retired from Mercedes, is here as a broadcaster. I think he's poised. Let's have a look at the grid, though, for round 5 of the championship.
Okay, so the front row looks like this. Maxime Martin and Bruno Spengler with a BMW lockout.
For third and fourth on the grid, Nico Müller, DTM rookie, Mike Rockenfeller, the winner here last year.
The next row of the grid features Adrian Tombe and then Augusto Farfus alongside.
For seventh, you find Marco Wittmann. The championship leader has work to do, so eighth does Miguel Molina.
Then we see Jamie Green, and alongside Jamie Green is the Deutsche Post colours of Timo Glock.
A frustrated 11th, Matthias Ekström, but don't rule him out for a decent result tomorrow. The same is true of Edo Mortara 12th.
Then it's Antonio Felix da Costa and the first Mercedes to show, Robert Wickens, P14.
Let's carry on with Mercedes. 15th, Daniel Junqueira, fresh from an outing in an F1 car for Force India at Silverstone. 16th on the grid, Joey Hand.
Disappointment for Timo Scheider and Paul de Resta.
They are 17th and 18th. 19th, even more disappointed, Martin Tomczyk. He missed out on a chance to get into Q2. And then it's Pascal Wehrlein. Let's hear from Bruno Spengler, though. Second at the end of qualifying.
Bruno, after a really disappointing Norris ring, you certainly are back in the game with P2. Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm definitely happy about today. I mean, we struggled a lot this morning to find the right setup. Yeah, we seem to be a little bit up and down, be a bit unlucky on our decisions on setups and stuff this year. But, you know, now today was good. It went in the right direction. My team engineers did an amazing job. You know, if you would have asked me after free practice if I finished in the top 3, I would have said, no, you're crazy, never, because we were really struggling. But the car improved a lot, you know, after free practice, and also through the qualifying was better and better as the track got a bit better. So I'm very happy. A great qualifying for us today. Thank you to the team, and, you know, looking forward to a long race tomorrow, starting from P2. Everything's possible.
Certainly is. Thank you so much, Bruno. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Verena. So everything is possible, so says Bruno Spengler. No question about that. And there, plenty of high fives all round in the garage there. And also there for the Maxime Martin engineers as well. What a result for Maxime Martin in qualifying. There is Jens Marquardt, BMW Motorsport boss.
Contrast all that, though, Marco Wittmann only 7th. I think he will be disappointed with that. What about Audi? Let's hear from Wolfgang Ulrich with Verena.
Dr. Ulrich, despite the fact that BMW is in the front, it's a really strong result for Audi, isn't it?
Yes, it is a result that is really good, but on the other hand, we really tried to be on pole now, because this is something I think maybe this season is not what we have achieved as we would like to have. We had very, very good team results in the races, and we tried to push more for the qualifying. It was very, very close, but we have 2 cars in the second row. It's not too bad. We are going to fight in this race, for sure.
I bet you will. Thank you so much, Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich. Back to you.
Thank you, Verena. Confirmation, we're going to fight.
As if you were in any doubt. Well, we need to hear from Maxime Martin, and I'm sure that he will get to Verena in due course. He's being besieged by people. Seldom has Maxime been so popular. The very unassuming Belgian, who has raced a great variety of cars over the years. He came out of junior Renault single-seaters in Belgium, had a spell in the Belgian Mini Championship, raced in the Peugeot Spiders, raced a Morgan, won with a Morgan in GT3, and then gravitated towards BMWs. But an absolute star in GT BMWs he's been over the last few seasons, and now he's underlining why he is so well regarded as he comes to the DTM and helps a BMW 1-2 with, what, 18,000th between them on the grid. Marco Wittmann starting 7th. His work is going to be a little bit tougher tomorrow. Double winner already this year. And Mike Rockenfeller 4th. I still think he could be a dark horse for a win tomorrow.
Don't think you're wrong. Don't think you're wrong. It's an awful lot can happen, can't it? It's going to be a hot day. It's going to be a long, long race.
The last line that we've just had on the message screen is that Adrian Tombe is under investigation. It says no more than that, whether it's track limits, whether it's for something in the pits, whether it's for any other offence, can't tell you. But although Tombe is 5th, the story may change a little, and he may have something to add post-qualifying. What about Mike Rockenfeller? He's 4th, he can tell all to Verena.
Yeah, Rocky, you had a really good lap in Q3, then the 2 BMW came and snatched it away from you, now P4. Where can you go from there tomorrow?
I hope on the podium, that's the goal. Score points, see what our race pace is. I think we have a good chance to make up some places. It was not a magic lap in qualifying, but it was good laps, and therefore I'm happy we did a solid performance, and this is what we were missing in the past. So yeah, it seems that today we are back, and I hope that we will have a good one tomorrow.
Best of luck. Thank you so much, Rocky, and back to you guys.
Another guy that's always very positive, Mike Rockenfeller, isn't he? So we will see what he can deliver from P4 tomorrow.
Another good ambassador for Audi, of course, as well. And
so.
He and Audi have had a good relationship both across the DTM and sports car racing, of course, with his great successes, not just in the World Endurance Championship and its predecessors, but in the Le Mans 24 Hours as well.
Yes, of course. Yes, absolutely right. The championship leader, though, Marco Wittmann, is going to be starting further down the order than he would have liked, and he's with Verena.
Yes, unfortunately, only starting in P7 tomorrow. However, does the car still feel strong that you're optimistic for tomorrow?
Yeah, of course. I mean, today was not our day. Actually, we expected a little bit better. But it was a tough qualifying. We struggled with some radio problems, so it was not easy really to make adjustments in between with the pressure-wise. And yeah, of course, we are also the heaviest car in the field, so doesn't really help to go on qualifying lap times. But it's like that, and overall, I mean, it's not like a really bad result. It's P7, so there's still a lot possible in the race. We're gonna fight, but yeah, first of all, big congratulations to Maxime and Bruno. They did a really good job today.
Absolutely. Best of luck for tomorrow for you. And now let's go to the press conference.
So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome at Moscow Raceway for the post-qualifying press conference after qualifying for the 5th round of the 2014 DTM season. We have on stage the pole sitter for BMW from Belgium, Maxime Martin. In second place also for